it is hot, bro. It is hot right now. Wow. What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin, and it is hot. It is so hot, in fact, that my fan is literally blowing hot air back at me. Like he looked like he mad at me because I did something. You know what I mean about the weather. Damn, yo, it is hot. So I got a little caught up and streaming a little late here, but hopefully you guys can catch this show tomorrow or something. I just wanted to get on and talk about a couple of things in boxing. So let me get set up right here. We're gonna talk boxing, man. It is hot. Listen, woo, man, I'm up in this studio, bro. Ah, I'm trying to tell you. What's up, guys? What's up, Frontline? Yeah, that looks about right. What's up, guys? Well, let's talk boxing. There's a lot to cover. And, like I said at the beginning of this year, if you've been with me for quite some times, you know the way we kicked off this year and the theme of the year when we kicked it off. Be prepared to see your favorite fighter lose. I just did, okay? Well, he's not my favorite fighter, but he was one I was rooting for. Subriel Matias, I saw him lost. And I knew that coming into the year, there was gonna be a lot of fighters that were gonna, really be tested because of the explosion that happened in 2023. And that was like one of the best boxing years. And then in 2024, I saw the clash. That's when they were going to start getting the best, fighting the best. The dust would clear. And then the next thing you would have, whoever was left standing was going to come to face 2025 with the young top prospects coming up that just turned into contenders. And they were going to clash. And I think 2025 is going to be even a bigger year in boxing. Mark my word. I've been right about a lot of this, huh? I got receipts, bro, right? So I wanted to break down the Tank Davis fight. I know that there's a lot of channels already giving this fight a lot of recognition, right? But I'm going to do my due diligence and I cover boxing. So I want to talk about this fight because I'm hearing a lot of mixed reviews on what they believe they saw. And a lot of these guys, YouTube channels, are supposed to be these highly educated, really informative, boxing, analytically correct YouTube channels, right? I try to make it as big as possible because these guys try to sound like if you sit back and you hear them and you don't know, you don't watch boxing through the set of eyes I watch boxing, you would think they said something. You would really think, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. But let me explain why. Stay with me. Check it out, right? On many of the YouTube channels, all I keep hearing is the same thing that Frank Martin gave Tank Davis a good fight, all he can handle until he couldn't. And that Frank the Ghost Martin gave a hell of a performance and a hell of a show of himself, right? And that Frank the Ghost Martin was one of Tank Davis, if not Tank Davis's toughest match, right? And if you heard all of that, you and I didn't know what I was seeing in boxing, I would say, wow, I just said something. I didn't say shit. You know why? Because everything I said was fake. Yeah, it's the truth. And let me explain why. Because what I saw was Tank Davis from the moment the bell went bing, he controlled every minute and every second of that fight. Even the rounds that Frank the Ghost Martin won, he only won because Tank Davis was allowing him to win those rounds. And that was based on his game plan to give those rounds away. Meaning, Frank the Ghost Martin was being set up the entire time. He never was winning any part of it. Yeah, he might have won a round or two on the scorecards. And I know what it looks like. But that's not what was happening. I'm here to tell you, Tank Davis allowed that to happen. His game plan was to come in the high guard, take a little damage, but Tank doesn't play with you. He'll test you in between, trying to gas you out. He knew if he put up the high guard and put pressure, Frank Martin's inexperience wouldn't know how to work with that. And that kind of game plan comes with giving a couple rounds away. He never won a round legitimately. So all this fake, oh, he did great. That's why Tank Davis is laughing on the podium. Because Tank Davis is saying, none of you guys know what you're looking at. I'm a fucking fighter, bro. I know what I'm looking at. I know exactly what Tank Davis was doing. Frank the Ghost Martin won nothing. He didn't perform well against Tank. He didn't look good against them. Nothing. And I mean, every fucking punch the Martin kid threw, Tank Davis allowed. Even when Frank the Ghost Martin tagged him and fucked up Tank's eye, he allowed him to do that. That's part of his game plan. Tank Davis's game plan. Yeah, hit me harder. Hit me harder. Get gassed out. That's what the definition is of dragging you out into deep water and then drowning you. That's what you do. Tank Davis gave him everything. He didn't look good at no part in the fight. I was looking at the fight going, fuck, he's walking right into Tank Davis's trap. He doesn't see this. His inexperience of not knowing how to deal with that, he did exactly everything Tank wanted him to do. He outclassed Frank. He outthinked him. He outboxed him. He had more power. Bro, that's why his facial expression never changed. Tank Davis's. He was in complete control. But yet, they will try to feed you that. Like if he showed up. Like if he actually had a chance remotely in that fight of winning. I'm trying to tell you, even the rounds he won, he really didn't win. They were given to him. Yeah, but yet he did better than Subriel did. Yet Subriel now, according to them, he's going to obscurity. After this loss, Subriel Matias will never become a world champion, according to these guys. He gave a better account of himself than at least Frank Martin did against Tank Davis. Frank Martin was the last person in that ring to realize he was outclassed. Tank was right. You wasn't ready for this fight. By the time you figure out what Tank Davis did, the fight was over. That was a master class, the definition of dragging someone out to deep waters and knocking them out. That's why Tank Davis was able to pick the round. Did you see in the interview? He said, I'm going to knock him out in the 8th. What happened? He knocked him out in the 8th. How much fucking control do you want in that? He's picking rounds on him. That's how easy it was. Frank did nothing. He had bro, that was a complete shutout. Complete dominance. Subriel Matias at least fought this Liam Paro to the end. And then they say he's going to obscurity, right? I don't think these people know how boxing works. If you lose your title, you don't go down to being the number 10 ranked opponent. He's going to be the number 1 ranked guy. What does that tell you? That only with one more fight that Subriel wins, he becomes Liam Paro's mandatory again. And whether he wants to give him the fight or not, um, Subriel Matias can legitimately become his mandatory in one fight. It has to be the right fight, though. He has to fight like the number 2 or number 3 guy. Subriel beats whoever that is, right? And which is probably Sandor Martin, but Sandor Martin just got ordered to fight Devin Haney. How embarrassing. We'll talk about that in a second, right? So, Subriel Matias, the lowest ranking he's going to go, because you got to remember, all the guys underneath him, Subriel beat. He's got victories over all those guys. Oh, he's only going to fall into the number 1 ranked guy. He's 1 or 2 fights from being the mandatory. They act like this motherfucker's going to disappear off the face of the earth, Subriel. Like he's all done. He'll never get a shot at that belt. Liam will keep running. It doesn't work like that with the IBF. Unfortunately, the IBF organization is the only organization that if you're the number 1 guy, guess what? They have to fight him. They have to. Subriel becomes the number 1 and mandatory. He puts in the paperwork. Guess what? Liam has to fight him. All Subriel has to do is win. Just like when he lost his first fight, what did he do? He went on a tear, right? And he does better when he fights away from his house. So as Subriel bounces back and he does this again, he's back in line. So watch what you say and really learn how to like look at boxing. You know, Frank the Ghost Martin, that was a shitty ass performance, bro. He did, I mean, bro, he set him up from the moment. Frank did nothing different. It was like Tank was saying, step this way, he went that way. Step this way, he would go this way. Throw that jab, do this, tire yourself out. I'm going to hit you hard. Go ahead, flurry, flurry, flurry. Oh, you got me. Look, you got me. Oh, you're doing it. Oh, you're doing it. No, you're not. And he's knocking him out in the round that he's picking. I'm going to knock him out in the 8th round. Boop! Complete dominance. Complete. And then you got your other star, Devin Haney, right? And I like Devin Haney. Right? But boy, is this embarrassing. Oh my God, this is embarrassing for Devin Haney, right? The reality is this, right? Man, I like Devin Haney, bro. I like Devin Haney. I like it. I like him. He got his ass kicked, man. It is what it is. I wish he took it on the chin. But this is embarrassing, right? This man went from one of the biggest paydays of his life, fighting Ryan Garcia. What did he make? 22 million? 22, some shit like that, with the pay-per-view. He made some money, right? So his fight, he was ordered to fight Sandor Martin. So they couldn't come to an agreement. So their fight, I guess, went into a purse bid. How embarrassing. And a purse bid means that any boxing promoter can bid to buy that fight, right? And not only when they make the bid, what they're saying is, this is the amount of money I'm putting up for the fight, and that money got to get split between both fighters. And then the promotional pays for everything else. So everybody comes into big fights. Ed Hearns will come in, the Saudis will come in, Floyd Mayweather will come in, Oscar De La Hoya will come in, Top Rank will come in, and whatever other small promoter out there that wants to put a bid to try to own the rights to the Devin Haney fight versus Sandor Martin, right? When that shit went up to purse bid, only one person put in a bid. Only one promotional company put in a bid to buy Devin Haney's fight. Ed Hearn said, I'll pass. Floyd Mayweather said, I'll pass. Golden Boy said, I'll pass. The Saudis pass. Only one promotional company said yes to Devin Haney, and that was Top Rank. And Bob Arum bought the Devin Haney against Sandor Martin fight for $2.4 million. That's what he bought it for. That means that the fighters got to split $2.4 million. You mean to tell me Devin Haney's about to fight for 1 point something million dollars? That's a high fall from grace. If in your last fight you made upwards of $22 million, and your next fight, they're saying you're worth 1.4? 1.6? Wow. And that's all coming off that loss. Now, he's still the WBC champion. And Ryan Garcia didn't make it. He broke the contract, which means they went back to the negotiation table because Devin Haney was in his legal rights to walk away that night, and he gets paid because he's a professional. He made weight. Ryan Garcia didn't make weight. So when they went back in the room and redid the renegotiations, Devin Haney said, well, the belt is not on the line. So win, lose, or draw, I remain champion. They agreed to it. And they agreed to the penalties, the fees. And Ryan said yes, and he said yes. So now this is actually sanctioned a new fight under a new contract. What was on the first contract is voided. That has nothing to do with the fight now because Devin Haney was given the option to walk away. He said no. He said 3.5 pounds ain't going to make a difference. I'm going to whoop Ryan Garcia's ass, right? That's not what happened. And since that's not what happened, I guess the fans now are viewing him like he's not taking the loss very well. And you would think that a lot of people was criticizing Ryan Garcia on the steroid thing. In fact, they've given him more sympathy over that than him actually being guilty. And the fact that he can't prove where it came from, that's starting to be alarming. Okay. So, all that to the side, that's embarrassing. That Devin Haney fight got bought by Top Rank for $2.4 million. A Devin Haney fight. That's fucking crazy, bro. Devin Haney himself could have bought that fight. He should have put in a bid himself. I would have. I know Devin Haney got more than $2.4 million. He could have bought that, been the lead promoter on the fight, and pocketed a way more bigger percentage. And he could have banked, he could have betted on himself. Meaning, if no one, he could have bought the fight himself, and you would have took a chance. You pay your guy the 1 point whatever, and bet on yourself. Think that you're gonna. And I think, I don't know. Let me see what happens with Devin Haney. Now that's crazy. Talk about Subria's gonna fall in obscurity, and he's gonna do this and that, but they ain't saying nothing about their guys. They're not saying anything. Is anybody reporting this shit? Have you guys heard any of this shit that I'm saying? Like, I'm like looking back at it, right? I'm saying to myself, come on, man. You mean to, man, listen. That's like buying a fucking McDonald's for 2.4 million. You gonna make money, man. I know you're gonna make money. If you promote Devin Haney right, yeah, I don't know if he'll sell out in Vegas. People kind of mad at him. Maybe I don't know. You might have to feed into fucking Sandor Martin's, tap into his thing a little with Devin Haney's name. I think he'll make more than that in the night. I would have bet it on myself. I probably would have made a bid on that. I'm not sure if he knew that Top Rank was the only one that was going to bid, but that's embarrassing. That's fucking bad, bro. Bam. That means that nobody believes in Devin Haney. No boxing promoter says that he sells. Yeah, he ain't putting seats in them stands, unfortunately. And I like Devin Haney, man. I'm still under the impression that he still hasn't got his man strength. He's only 25 years old. He's going to come into his prime. He's going to get stronger. So I think we're going to see a better half of Devin Haney in his career. He's just going through a rough patch right now, Devin. Look, these athletes get a lot of shit, but they're in there fucking doing it. And I can't say that I'm in there fighting the criticism in the crowd and that I ever got an opportunity to do this. All our lives we walk in different paths, but Devin Haney's actually doing it, and it's not easy to be this young and to juggle all these things. But if you're gonna call yourself the best, if you want to be considered among the best, you're gonna have to fight the best. So there are a lot of interesting fights coming up right now. Now it's rumored that the Tank Davis and Lomachenko fight is going to be the next fight, and Bob Arum also has a piece in that because, as we all know, Lomachenko is a top-ranked fighter. So whether or not they can get this fight sooner than later, that'll be a real explosive fight. I want to start talking about that fight, but that's another situation in boxing where until the contracts get signed over and you convince me that, Loma's willing to put his belt up against Tank, then that's one of those fights. I'll believe it when they're walking down the aisle type shit. That's one of those situations in boxing where that sometimes it sounds too good to be true, because we all know, and if they were both robots, and we're like, yeah, I'd put Loma and Tank, yeah, go at it. But these are two humans that are in different parts of their career. You got to acknowledge that Loma is 6 years the elder of Tank Davis. You know, um, who knows? I don't know how Loma feels, but to automatically assume, yeah, Loma's gonna take this fight. What'd you say his name was? You said Tank Davis, right? Listen, Tank Davis. I've been standing on my square with this guy. I've just been waiting for him to get serious with boxing. Like a lot of boxers, not all, but like a lot of American boxers, they fall into these pitfalls that a lot of our American fighters always fall into. The lamp life, drug, sex, and rock and roll, you name it. Some of these kids come from a real poor background, from obscurity, and when they given all this money and start hanging around these celebrities, it could overwhelm them, and they can easily be led into things and bad habits they once never had, because they're around their favorite rapper or movie star, and we see it happen all the time. So you know, staying the course this young in this sport, it the sport can. It's not you. What I'm trying to say is your fighter might not always lose inside the ring. What he does after might take him out. Because Errol Spence Jr. was a good fighter until he had that car accident. And I believe that car accident and all those injuries really played a major part in how he developed as a fighter later. I believe if he never suffered that car accident, that would have been a whole different totally fight against Terrence Crawford. I believe maybe Terrence Crawford would have got the win, but not like that. Not like that. I don't believe that. I believe Errol Spence Jr. would have been sharper. He would have been a little bit more alert. He couldn't even judge the speed of Terrence Crawford's punches. He was more shocked by how fast they were coming in, you know, and it was just too much time away, too much things. That car accident took a lot more than what Errol really thought it took. Yeah, it took a lot more from him, than just the injuries. Yeah, it it messed up his career definitely. So Tank Davis, I believe, is really, like he's one of the they. You see, Tank's out there doing Tank Davis shit, right? And I believe he's a lot further in his mind on how the fights are supposed to play out. And his career played out as such because bad management, not because he couldn't beat these guys. And he got a lot of criticism for that when he went through his time learning how to manage his money, and a lot of these things happened to him. He got in car accidents, whatever, hit a lady. And Tank's life was really going like this. He didn't know how to live with money. And now he's starting to get himself together, it seems. But sometimes, so long of going one bad way, you train to be good, then all of a sudden, you win, and you slide right back into those old behaviors. It's up to him to catch it, right? So that's the pitfalls in some of these sports when these athletes get all this money. But besides all of that, Tank Davis is a hell of a lot better fighter and boxer than the tests that he's been put in front of him. Oh yeah. Tank is just like, and he's doing this shit to like real fighters like Luis Santa Cruz. Yeah, I know he was a smaller guy. He's like a 3 division world champion, right? And Mario Barrio is like so much bigger than him, right? And like some of these guys, yeah, they're not like the best world class names, but when you can see what Ryan Garcia did to Devin Haney, right? And then you see what Tank did to Ryan Garcia. Tank Davis said it. Yo, out of everybody in my career, Ryan hit me the hardest, but he was still standing on his feet. He still knew how to work around that power. He knew how to bait him and lure him in and set a trap. Tank Davis. That's how smart his ring IQ is. If Devin Haney was the superior ring IQ fighter, why couldn't he get it together? That's based on mental fortitude. That's based on your ring IQ. He couldn't figure it out. Tank Davis did. He's the better boxer. He's the better fighter by far. Tank Davis has fought all styles, lefties, righties, brawlers, counter punchers. On the low, he's done it all. He has. He really has. Listen, what you guys thought was going to be one of his greatest challenges was one of his easiest fights against Frank Martin. He didn't want to be brutally honest, but I'll be brutally honest for him. I saw what you did, Tank, in that ring. I knew exactly what you were doing. Boy, that was a fucking masterclass. Hats off to you, brother. That was pretty impressive. I couldn't believe it. And I'm sitting there like, and my boy's like, right? Because we're watching it on the next day, right? So he's telling me, yo, watch the fight. Frank Martin was winning. And I looked at him and he looked at me and I didn't have to say nothing. He was like, shit. I told you. He wasn't winning. No, not even when he was winning the rounds was he doing that. Yeah, he was being set up the entire time. Yeah, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch when you understand it and you're looking at it like that. Like I was like, wow, that's complete control right there. He just go ahead, punch my gloves, tire yourself out. Boy, he did everything he wanted him to do. He didn't know how to work around that. He didn't know how to stay calm. Don't feed into it. Push him off. Set yours up. Don't worry about him coming in, spin him, right? He fell right into the trap. Right, we're taking up, up, up. I was like, motherfucker, bro. That's inexperience. Now Frank the Ghost Martin, he'll learn from that. He'll go back, he'll watch the fight, he'll be like, man, he'll be like, fuck. Yeah, I played right into his hand. I wasn't winning at all. And he'll be like, fuck. He was setting me up the entire time. Yeah, and then, that's why Tank was laughing so much. Because Tank's a step ahead of everybody. Like, he knew that, it was beautiful. It was fucking beautiful. He gives them rope to hang themselves. Yeah, he does. Yo, what's up? I'm Dr. Boxing. What's up, baby? How you doing? In the building. Thank you. Yo, yo, Rob, what's up? Yeah, man. Listen, I tell yo, guys, what's good, brother? How you doing? Salute. Yeah, I saw his interview with the zone and stuff. And they were translating some of it. Subir looked at it, his eye was puffy. He took the loss like that. He would say he wants to fight in November. They named off a couple people, like always, in victory and defeat. Subir was a class act. I've seen other fighters take it much worse. Tio Loma, you know, Subria took it on the chin. But like I said, he's not going into this obscurity. He wasn't exposed, just like Gary Antoine Russell, I don't believe was exposed. A lot of people like to take that word and throw it around in boxing. How the fuck was Gary Antoine Russell exposed? He fights every fight the exact same way. That guy just taught him a boxing lesson. Beat his style. That's not being exposed. You lost a fight. That's called losing a fight. That's what that's called. Being exposed means that they said you were this knockout artist or that you were just gonna beat everybody in the division, and this guy picked you apart in a sense where that your fighting style had no effect on this guy. That wasn't the case against Gary Antoine Russell. He had his moments in the fight, but like I said, like all the Russell brothers, they have this amateur fighting style about their fighting style. They're still fighting like they're in the amateurs, meaning not saying that they're amateurs in their approach or their technique. No, they can fight, right? In an amateur fight, there's 3 rounds. And what you're taught is a lot of forward aggression, where that you're trying to overwhelm your opponent with your volume and your power. It's a lot of going forward. In pro boxing, it's a lot of there's a process, a feeling out process. You're trying to set traps. There's time. You have more than 3 rounds. It's more of a chess match now. The way the Russell fights, it's just forward aggression all the time. He'll work off his jab. They're smart. They're slick. They got good form. Yes. But they still have this amateur way of approach. It's more like going forward, and trying to. He thought that he was going to wilt to his pressure and his power. What you saw there was a guy that knows how to deal with forward pressure and power. He showed why he was a former world champion, and he outboxed um the Russell kid. That's what you saw. But I'm not going to say that Russell was exposed. No, he wasn't exposed. He lost the fight. His style beat his style. He lost the fight. He put up a good account for himself. He wasn't wiped down. That's being exposed. He just lost the fight. Just like Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias was in his own head, right? He didn't make any adjustments. He didn't throw a jab. He barely threw for the first 2 minutes of the first round. He didn't throw a punch. He bought too much into the fact of the no mas. He thought he was just going to stop Liam Paro, and he stopped boxing. Pressure, 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 pressure. Liam Paro kept spinning him, clinching when he had to. And you have to know that clinching is part of boxing. It's up to the referee to point it out. Unfortunately, it's there. Okay. So there's nothing to take away from this for Subriel but learning curve. And learn how to adapt your fighting. And learn how to recognize that the night's not going your way. Stop trying to push your plan. It's time to make adjustments. You see? So where does this put in actuality, Subriel Matias? Probably the number one contender, ranked opponent. Everybody else underneath him he beat, which is going to put him still in the number one spot. He's one fight away from being the mandatory again to that belt. And as we all know, the IBF caters to both sides of the street. If you become the number one and the mandatory, guess who's getting a shot? This is not the WBC, the WBO. They sometimes they do what the fuck they want. That's why they always stripping people of this belt, because there are no bullshit organization, and he will have to fight the mandatory. Now that's all up to Subriel whether he gets himself back there. Time will tell. But I tell you guys what, that's embarrassing with Devin Haney, but Devin Haney, he's still one of my guys, bro. He's an American fighter, bro. He's going through a bad moment, man. Just like all of them. Frank, he took his first loss. Fuck it. Dust yourself off, Frank Martin. Get up. Learn from this. Go forward, Frank. You know what I'm saying? He still has potential to be a champion. You know, Tank Davis, I think that he should stay at 135, and I think he should look to unify. Whether or not you really can convince me that you're going to get Lomachenko to sign up to fight Tank Davis, yeah, that shit sounds good. I'll believe it when I see it. Man, listen, Loma never wants to fight the black American fighters. Let's just be honest. He don't want that smoke, man. He thinks that a lot of them are his kryptonite, at least the top guys, right? He'll beat up the little dudes, right? But the ones that evade and run a little, like, let's be honest. If Tank Davis fought Shakur Stevenson, for as much as their names are big, you would think it would be a good fight, right? I think Shakur would just be running on his bike all night, trying to like fight off the back foot. And we're just going to see Tank just stalking him around the fight. There'll be a few exchanges. Shakur is not going to stand in the pocket with Tank. And Tank and Shakur is going to move. One thing that Shakur does really, really well is evade. And his defense is pretty fucking good, right? He's got good offense. He kind of shells up to power, but he's growing as a fighter too. He was giving the stigma off this one fucking fight. Let's see what he does in New Jersey. I want to go down there and cover him. I believe in Shakur Stevenson too, but I also believe he'll fight Tank Davis different. Shakur fights every fighter different, but you'd be stupid to just stand there in front of Tank. Unless you could match Tank with that kind of power and those kind of skills, I wouldn't recommend it. And until Shakur Stevenson comes into his own, do I think at one point in time, maybe Shakur will be able to give him a better fight? Yeah. I think, it's Hopefully he's been in the office training. I want to see what Shakur looks like now, coming into this fight in Newark. Andronesian, let's see what happens. Let's see before we talk about that kind of fight. But look, will that other fucking Ukrainian dude fight Tank Davis? Hell no. That dude ain't signing up to fight Tank, right? You guys think so? I'm not sure. I mean, the best fight would be Loma, but like I said, until I see it happen, I don't believe that shit. What's up, friend? I just want to believe Panda did the best he could. Listen, I believe Panda did. I believe it was Subria was in Subria's head. His daughters were in the front row. His wife was there. Everybody, his rappers walked them out. Felix Trinidad is sitting in the front row. It might have been the night might have been too big. It might have been a little too big for my man. But listen, what impressed me was the way he also took the loss, because it shows he's already starting the healing process. He already wants to get past this fight, on to the next one. He wants to prove himself. It's up to him. Subria's career is in Subria's hands. And that's the only person that can save Subriel is himself. He can rebound from this. Absolutely. He can become champion again. Yes, he's right there still. It's not like he goes down to the number 10. No, he's going to be the number 1 ranked guy. I'm telling you. He's like one fight or maybe tops 2 fights from being the mandatory to that belt. Back right, he'll be right there again. Yeah, because every guy underneath him Subir beats, and that's how the ranking system works. He's just going to be the number 1 guy, guys. Trust me. Anyway, guys, listen, you guys got anything to front line? All right, Armando, listen, I'm out too. Listen, I started a little late. I wanted you guys just to catch a little bit this video, but I hope I broke down a little bit of insight and gave you a clearer picture of what really was going on in some of these fights and stuff, and the criticism that they're giving some fighters versus other fighters. And they're talking of, listen, that doesn't make that guy suck. No, I like Frank the Ghost Martin. Man, I want to see him become champion one day. I really do, right? I just recognize what really took place in that ring. And that's the truth. Anyway, gentlemen, love you guys. Always love chopping it up with you. Please, on your way out, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon, and I'll be back with another one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. Peace. Love you guys.